If you watch Dumb Money at all, you know that we've been extremely bullish on Nvidia stock. The last time we talked about it, we called Nvidia the only stock that we're buying right now. Going back 2.5 months, we told you exactly why we're getting back into Nvidia. Unlimited demand for GPUs, how insider selling and China fears were totally misunderstood, and how sovereign AI is a trillion-dollar tailwind that the market just isn't pricing in. Bottom line, this is the biggest revolution of our lifetime. Nvidia is the infrastructure layer. And once the market woke up, we knew that the stock would pop. And what do you know? We were right. Since that video, just 75 days ago, Nvidia's stock price is up 50%. But our trade is up way more than that. Today on Dumb Money, we're going to tell you exactly how we played it, how we're planning to do it again, and the new stock that we just bought.
This is Dumb Money Live.
Hey there, Dave here, along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money. Welcome to Dumb Money Live. Quick reminder, smash the like button, like the smash button, do the things. It really helps out with the algorithm. Chris, Jordan, it looks like history is continuing to repeat itself. This morning at market open, Nvidia stock was down 2% because of, again, insider selling and China chip supply issues. But still, Nvidia, the biggest company in the world, $4 trillion. They're bigger than Meta and Google combined. And while I was loading up on more stock, Chris, I know that you were leveraging up on Nvidia call options, and everybody wants to know how you did. And I want to know if you even know their percentage gain in the last couple of months, because I can't even imagine.
It's been so fun, man. This is what we do this for, is for times like this. I've always said you really only need one or maybe two big trades in your entire life to be a top 1% investor. And if you get lucky enough to hit maybe 3 or 4 big trades over the course of 20 or 30 years, you'll definitely be like a top 1/10 of 1% investor performance-wise over your lifetime. People don't believe me. And when Jack Schwager interviewed me for Unknown Market Wizards just a few years ago, I said, he asked me if I thought I could continue the kind of returns, those 70-ish% annualized returns. And I said, I know for sure with every bone in my body that the largest trades are ahead of me. And when I say ahead of me, I mean ahead of everyone. So I think that way still, even after this Nvidia trade, which is the biggest trade in my life, I think the largest trades are definitely ahead of us, because as we've always said, as the three of us have been saying for, I don't know, 8 years on this channel, 7 years, the larger the change, the bigger the opportunity. The faster the change, the bigger opportunity. And we've never seen a larger change happening during our lifetime this quickly, anything remotely close to this quickly. Therefore, it's inevitable that the largest investment opportunities of our entire life are about to happen. I think certainly Nvidia was the first of those really, really big ones, right? So many people have asked me, like, how did you structure the trade? I want to go over that really quickly, but also I want to say this. Social arb, when I used to talk about it, observational investing, people used to kind of knock on it and would say, well, that only works for small companies that are off radar to Wall Street, right? There's no way that you can see things that are really meaningful, that are needle moving, that haven't already been picked up by big institutional investors that have access to unlimited resources, unlimited data sources, and massive amounts of just people power. And, Jordan, when we worked, at Ticker Tags, our company, and we sold that to many of the biggest funds in the world, we saw behind the curtain and realized how untrue that statement is. There's not a lot behind the curtain. And we knew that we could continue to do this, not just with small companies, but with the biggest companies in the world. And I think the biggest edge that we could have as retail investors is the ability to eliminate noise. So all of Wall Street is so focused on all the BS noise, the macroeconomic noise, the geopolitical noise. What is Powell going to do today? What is Trump doing today? Certainly there are some arb trades there, but that's not where the alpha is, because that's where everybody's looking. How on earth did they miss this Nvidia trade? Because Dave, this wasn't just like a broad-based Nvidia trade. Oh, they're the infrastructure company. We were trading very specific pieces of information over the past 9-10 weeks that we were like, this is essentially inevitable. It's so obvious that this is about to happen, and yet nobody's seeing it because they're so consumed by noise.
Well,
Like, I'll give you
and
a
we
perfect
also had
example.
the added benefit of that noise bringing this incredible opportunity to us because it pulled the stock price down.
It pulled it down irrationally, kind of in a similar fashion to, remember when our other biggest trade of our career, the COVID trade, when it pulled down all the companies that would actually benefit from work at home, like Amazon,
Mhm.
Shopify, Peloton, and then we loaded up, and that was the other biggest trade of our life. That trade collectively was larger than this one, but it was across so many different tickers. This was a single ticker. And I'll give you just one example where it was just so obvious when Trump was going over to Saudi Arabia. We knew a week earlier Jensen was going to be involved in that. They were going to announce the first big sovereign wealth. If you dug through the research and what people were saying behind the scenes, when you saw that plane gift, okay, it was so obvious that all they wanted in the UAE and Saudi, all they wanted was compute. Okay, that's all they wanted. And we knew that that was the actual purpose of that entire trip, and it was really hard to even think up a scenario where that wouldn't happen. And of course, Nvidia blew up on that. And there were like 5 other storylines over the past 9 weeks related to Nvidia that were almost equally as obvious. The biggest being, of course, they're going to get a relaxation of the chip export rules. Why? We knew Jensen was working on these chips in China. He basically said it. He's not going to do that if he didn't have absolute confidence in what he was going to get. Also, we so obviously need rare earths more than anything that exists in the universe in order for our country to continue moving forward. And China has a stranglehold on us, at least for the next so many years, when it comes to rare earths and the ability to actually process those rare earths for us in a way that it can be utilized for all of our computing, our manufacturing, our automotive industry, like literally everything. Okay. And China made it very clear in their moves that they were going to hold on to those rare earths as a negotiating chip. What is the one thing that China wants? Literally the one thing that China wants more than anything in the world. They want compute. They want chips. They want chip designs. They want the chips. They don't necessarily need them for 20 years, but at least the next few years until they can get their own chip kind of, acceleration and technology up to standards. They need them. So how, like, the risk reward here was insane. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I had put, people ask me, how much of your portfolio did you put at risk? In general, I was putting between 3 and 10% of my portfolio at risk every week, invested in Nvidia options.
Yeah, because you were
Hundreds,
doing
in some
weekly
cases.
options and continuing to roll them week after week.
Well, yes, but I would, in some cases, a couple thousand option contracts. Every week, I was investing kind of with the strike price, either where it was currently trading or a little bit in the money. Okay. Once those options would hit somewhere between a 2 and a 3x return, I would immediately sell them and then use not all of the proceeds, but part of the proceeds, usually about 50% of the proceeds, to purchase new options that would expire the next week. As soon as those would hit 2 to 3x, I would do the same thing over and over. I believe I did this about 9 or 10 times. I know that's hard to believe. There were, like, I think 1 or maybe 2 times where I don't know if I got zeroed out or maybe I got like I got hit with a 50% loss on that week's options. And what I would do then is I would actually double or triple down, like, because I had conviction, right? We always say
Yeah.
this: the most powerful thing in the world for an investor is conviction. Because when you have conviction in your thesis, as long as the thesis doesn't change, then if you have an opportunity to go in, you get hit on your trade and you have an opportunity to go in even deeper, if you believe in your conviction, which I believed, I I appreciated those drops where other people were upset. They're like, "Oh, Nvidia's down." I'm like, "Oh, I like this because now I'm going to double, triple down, and I would make even more money on those weeks." So
Well,
yes,
you need to have the conviction, but then you also have to have the patience, and then you have to stick to your plan. You can't just say, "Oh, it's down this week, I'm giving up." If you have that conviction, you have to get back in. You can't just say, "Oh, it's over."
yes, and listen, this was a really special trade. It's been a really special year. I'll say this: I don't know what the exact returns on the Nvidia trade are. I'll have to figure that out sometime so I can share them. You know, I'm terrible when it comes to like
That's
actually
I
analyzing and
figured you would have
but
no idea how much money you actually
no,
made, but
oh, I
you
know how
kind
much
of
money I made, but
roughly know where your portfolio was a
I
month and a half, 2 months ago, and where it is today.
so I'll tell you this. I want to say when the market hit its lows, when we did the show with Graham's, you know, when we did the iced coffee hour with
Mhm.
Jack and Graham, I want to say my portfolio was even-ish or maybe even down a little bit for the year, and that was like April-ish. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
So now my total portfolio, my trading portfolio, right? This is the trading portfolio that I've had for 17, now maybe 18 years that Jack Schwager audited and the one I get publicly audited. Uh, that portfolio has now tripled total portfolio since the start of this year. So
That's
I'm
incredible.
up, you know, a
Congratulations.
3x total portfolio, and not all of that is Nvidia, but a very good chunk of it is Nvidia. So I again, guys, I
Yeah.
just want to emphasize how critically important it is to not try to trade all the time, but just to wait for the big, like we always say, like a big wave surfer. You wait for the big one, and then you fly. You do whatever it takes to get there, and you
You
have
really you really did it, and but you went all not all in, but putting a substantial chunk of your net worth into expire weekly call options, which is an insane thing to
I
think about. Just by
to be
comparison,
but
you
James, to be
3x'd your
clear, when you
total
say net worth,
portfolio. Yeah.
when you say net worth, it's liquid, the liquid net worth, not you know any of my privates or businesses or any of that stuff. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
In the time that you 3x'd your liquid net worth, I only grew my account by 42%. And
Good
normally
deal.
I would be like dancing on the rooftop over that. But you I good job. Good job. You've actually figured out that this is the trade. You had the level of conviction that I also had, but I was not willing to risk 5%, 2%, 1% of my portfolio on call options that are going to expire at the end of the week.
Um, Two things. One, someone's asking, you know, what's the size of my portfolio? I don't like to like regularly release that, although I am going to ask Jack Schwager to re-audit me before the end of the year, and he usually will release that. He might want to keep that for his next book that he's coming out with, I think this next year. So it will eventually be fully public. But I will release the annualized return. I do want to say this, the strategy I use, which is super simple, it's not complicated or sophisticated or nuanced. I already described it with the rollover strategy. It provided a lot of protection on the gains. So like, you know, I was always kind of reinvesting like roughly half, right? So I was always kind of protecting a lot of my profits from this trade as I rolled it over every week. And the reason why I did that is because there are always so many unknowns, things that you can't account for, macro moves, all the other stuff that we're aware of, right? So I didn't want to like make all that money and then put it all at risk every week. So I think that's a really for me, again, we're not financial advisors, guys. We're not saying to like mirror this strategy, but a lot of people have been asking, this is the right strategy for me, okay, based on my risk tolerance, not your risk tolerance. So do not mirror any of our trades or strategies or any of that stuff. Talk to a financial advisor, do what's right for you. Just making that really clear here. Jordan, I know that you did trade Nvidia over this time period. You're way more conservative, which you know, a lot of people that watch this show love because like they're never going to do what I do, and that's totally fine. Uh, how did you approach this, and like how did it impact your overall portfolio or just your Nvidia holding over the last
I don't ever
couple months?
take a huge position. Like I'm not going to put a 3% position into options. That's off the table for me. So I'm not doing that. So it was great. Like Nvidia did well.
Did
But
it
it's not like
ultimately generate a double-digit return for your total portfolio, or are you in the single digits in terms of the impact Nvidia made for your total portfolio?
oh, I mean, I haven't even looked at it, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
My
So
portfolio's been doing great, but Nvidia is just a portion of that, right?
it was never an outsized trade for you, right? It was just like one of the trades you've made over the past couple. It was kind of similar size compared to the other stuff you've been doing.
Yeah. I keep things small. I keep risk small, so I don't gamble with huge, with
Yeah. And the on this, I was
huge
just doing
option
some
positions. If I do
math.
option positions, they're really small. Equity positions, which is mostly what I was doing with Nvidia, was just equity.
I know so many people are always thinking, should I think more like Jordan, more like Chris, or something in between like Dave? You don't have to like treat your entire portfolio as one portfolio. We always talk about this. You can bucket your portfolio. You could actually literally open up multiple brokerage accounts if it makes it easier from a psychological perspective. And you could have a portfolio that's kind of like more aggressive, that is money that you can afford to lose, that you manage kind of like me. And you could have a portfolio where you think about things exactly the way that Jordan does. Or you can just take a middle of the road approach like Dave. But that's an option for people. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that that is an option. You could have a big money portfolio, a portfolio that is designed to take big swings, big risk, and potentially make really big returns if you call it right.
So what some people do is they'll have their long-term holdings, right, is just equity positions, and then they have an options account, right, and they can then swing for the fences in the options account, and then be a little bit more nuanced and conservative in their long-term holdings account.
Can I show you something before I forget, guys? By the way, before I show this, if anyone has a desire to ever send me something like this, please don't, because this is the most amazing thing ever. But I now am out of room in my closet, which is the only place in my house I can put anything.
I know what
But
I'm
one
about
of
to
my
see.
friends who I've been friends with for a while, who's also a big Dumb Money fan, watches all of our shows, has done so well over the last few years that he went out and had a custom pair of Dumb Money Air Force Ones made. Can you see this?
Look at that.
How
That is
insane. How
so
insane
amazing.
is this? Dude, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in this custom
I mean,
box.
even that Dumb Money logo is amazing. The shoes themselves with the $100 bill swoosh and that's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I think it's a combination of fake and some real cash as well. Like, I don't even know what to say. This is the most thoughtful, coolest thing. And all I'm thinking now is, I like to wear my shoes, not just, display them. I am going to, we were talking about doing a Dumb Money get together. One of our community members, I'm going up and talking at that POMP conference in New York, September, October, I don't even know when it is, I forget. And it's a retail investor conference, and maybe doing a little like get together for the New York Dumb Money community. And maybe I might just have to break that box open and wear it to the event. Dude, it is.
I would say you can't break the box open. It's too beautiful as a display piece.
I know it is. I'll put it back in the box, and I'll keep them pretty much clean. Anyway, that's that.
All right.
It's been great. That was the perfect topper to end the Nvidia trade for me, is getting that gift, because I know that a lot of people in our community really did their own research, dug into the Nvidia trade themselves. I've been getting so many DMs, so many. If I don't respond, it's because I'm just overwhelmed, guys. I'm doing a lot of travel now, but I love that our community members just made an absolute killing. By the way, I want to say this also. I am out of my leverage Nvidia trade. I do not hold any Nvidia options right now. I am
Really?
out. I'm fully out. It doesn't necessarily mean that Nvidia is not going to skyrocket there, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I won't get back into Nvidia levered if I think there's some piece of information that we want to trade. But I don't have any options at all right now except for
Your
a few
investment thesis
fun
is
ones.
already played out, and so that is the sign that you don't want to be hyper leveraged in that trade anymore.
I still have
But I'm
my
sure you
my
still have
my
an
equity.
Nvidia stock. Yeah.
You
A
still have
lot
an
of
equity, right?
a lot of Nvidia
Yeah.
equity, absolutely.
Yeah, I
I'm
still
just
have this. I still have my core Nvidia equity position.
and I might layer in some options here and there. So guys, the only option I have is a very tiny option position, and it's for a non-high conviction trade. I just started now that I'm like over the Nvidia trade, which is consuming because when I trade something like that, here's the thing that people don't understand. I am spending hours every night reading mostly junk. Every tweet, every news story, every leak, every perspective, every technologist, every thing coming out of China, just to make sure that I'm not missing something. I become obsessed because the last thing I want to happen is to have a piece of news hit that would impact that options trade, which could lose me mid to high six figures, in some cases seven figures that week on just that 1 week's trade.
Mhm.
So I did not have a lot of time the last 2 months to focus on traditional social arb, looking for pulling data, looking for trends. But I just started digging back in this last week. I will share a bunch of stuff with the community on the Discord, dumbmoney.tv/Discord, only in the research channel, the research trade channel. Uh, but I did come across something. I shared with you guys. I don't know what you think about it. It is interesting. It's not high
Yes.
conviction, but it's interesting.
And I was
Uh,
just looking to see if I could, pull up the clip that you sent. I'm working remote and don't have the ability to share it on the stream, but, when this becomes a replay, hopefully we'll be able to pull it and put it together.
um, so basically, Dave, do you want to can you pull up a Google Trends or no?
I literally I don't have the, technical capability from where I am to pull up and share my screen. Next time we do a show, I will work out the kinks, but this was a last minute prep this
Okay.
morning. I was
So
I
our
was out
viewers can
walking on the beach just like an hour ago, and now I'm here doing a show.
So if you're watching right now, go on to Google Trends, uh, readjust to worldwide past 5 years, and just pull up the tag Yeti bag. So YETI space bag. Uh, so there's a bag called the Camino bag. It has been around a long time. We're talking years. It's barely changed. They have new colors. They've added some pockets on the interior. This is kind of like a plastic tote bag. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, it's not insulated like you think of with Yeti bags. It's just a tote.
It costs like 3 different sizes, 150 to 250-ish dollars. That's the price range. So it's kind of expensive for a rubber bag. It's similar to the bog bag that went viral the last couple years, but it's a little better featured. It actually feels more comfortable than the bog bag. It's not as like wide. It has better
It's
functionality. There's just
collapsible. I never really got the bog bag because it's not collapsible. It's a big foam weird thing. I think this Yeti bag I think is a lot better.
So there is a single TikTok video that came out a few weeks ago that it's out of nowhere. This bag that's been around, a single video set off an avalanche of other videos and comments and interest. And now the Camino bag by Yeti has become the mom bag of the summer 2025. And this is what we're all about. So this one bag Can it be a needle mover for Yeti? That is the big question. And I visited the Yeti store, Dave, right by our
Did you?
house. I did. First of all, I watched about 100 videos on the Camino bag. I read a few thousand comments on the Yeti bag. I got in the mind of all the moms who are going crazy about the new Camino bag. Then I went to the store and I talked to the clerk. And sure enough, there were only a couple in inventory, the color that nobody wanted. But I did get to hold the bag in my hands and see it. And I wanted to. Oh, there it is. And
This is my low-tech way of sharing my screen today.
and that one has a little attachment on the bag, like a little like side cart bag. But what was interesting is she said it's one of the biggest things that they've ever had. She said that they've been fielding phone calls constantly on it. It's obviously sold out in almost every color. Most people do not have a Yeti store by them because there's only like 50-ish, 30 to 50. I forget the exact number of Yeti stores in the US. So most people have to go to Dick's Sporting Goods. So if you have a Dick's Sporting Goods, you might want to go by there and check it out yourself and speak to the people there. But she said, absolutely, it's bringing massive foot traffic to the store. So when we see something like this, the thesis is always the same. It's one big product. That product might not be a needle mover in and within itself. But there's the graph. You can see it. I mean, that is insane. That's Yeti bag. Look at the way it shoots up. That's just the last 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. So the thesis is that this bag going mega viral will, one, bring millions of eyeballs and foot traffic to Yeti just looking to see the bag for themselves if they want it or don't want it. And then once they're in the store or once they're on the website, you would have to imagine the way things work in the world is for X number of people that you're able to get to see your products, one out of so many is going to purchase something random. All right. So they'll see another bag they like, or they'll see another little thing that they didn't even know existed at Yeti, because you're not just casually going to Yeti.com, right? Unless there's a reason to. But now you have a reason to, because you want to see what this bag is all about. You want to see the different colors, right? You want to see if maybe it's something you want to buy or not. So that's a big deal. The other big deal is that because this one product is so popular and so hot and so trendy right now, that cast a positive light on the entire Yeti brand, which for a lot of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people, hasn't really been the hot trendy brand the last few years with, the other.
Yeah, because there's so many knockoffs and so much competition has entered the space that Yeti, while still the aspirational brand, if you just need to keep something
Stanley
cold, you
kind
can
of took
find
over
another
a lot
brand.
of the mugs.
Stanley, there's Arctic that
how
makes
many
very
Yeti
similar
coolers do you need? It's.
But so
Jordan, do you think Yeti's saturated?
Well, I thought that Yeti was super saturated. Okay. Yeah. I was super concerned about the company. I actually have a note that I made for myself not too long ago. And the note says, research shorting Yeti. Yeah. Not because I had any information on Yeti, but because it's one of those brands that I'm always thinking might fall apart because of oversaturation. Okay, if they don't execute flawlessly.
Well, and if you look at a 5-year chart, they did fall apart. Their stock fell
Dave,
apart.
You're looking at an artificial bump. It's not artificial. That bump that you're seeing was at the peak of the Yeti Cup craze, which obviously couldn't last forever. So now the big question is, how do they rebuild the brand to be something sustaining, or is it a flash in the pan where it becomes really weird to have the logo Yeti on anything that you own?
But that is the 3-month chart. So it has been discovered and it is recognized now as making some sort of a comeback. And all I needed to see for me to get into this trade was that Google Trends chart. The searches for Yeti bag being basically flat for 5 years and then accelerating off the top of the chart. That's all I needed. And so I bought options.
So I have a few options, but here's the thing. I did not put 20, 30 hours into researching Yeti yet. There's a lot of stuff happening at the company. There's the tariff stuff. They're trying to get their cups 95% out of China. The big storyline for Yeti right now for investors without having a trending product is the international expansion. They had two big key hires that they recently made. These are two amazing executives that have really done a killer job with international expansion at their last companies. Their goal is to expand Yeti throughout Europe and to expand Yeti throughout Asia. Okay, so that's the underlying potential big story for Yeti. I don't think that this bag, up until maybe the last couple days, because since I did share it in Discord first yesterday to our kind of super kind of followers, but I don't think this bag was on most people's radar, at least institutional Wall Street. But the
Yeah.
data is obviously starting to show up now. I just don't know if this bag, in fact, I know it probably will not move the needle this quarter. Earnings are like August 7th or 9th. This is happening too late in the quarter. They're not going to have enough inventory for it to move the Yeti needle.
Yeah.
But it could potentially impact the forecast projections for next quarter. It's a nice talking point. I just don't know how meaningful this is. But when I see something that is this hot, I know its potential to move the needle in other ways. And I can't help to throw some money behind the brand that has the hot product.
Yeah.
That's always something I'm comfortable doing. You know why? It's
But
like gambling on a roulette wheel where you have a couple extra, red
couple of
pieces
extra slots,
that
couple
nobody
extra double
knows about.
zeros to bet on. Exactly.
Yeah, nobody knows about that. It's like the roulette wheel is tilted in your favor. And so it doesn't mean you're going to guarantee a win there, but it means there's something a little extra that maybe not all the investors are familiar with that you are. And so for me, that was worth throwing some money into equity at Yeti. And listen, I got some options, but it's not a lot going into earnings next
Yeah.
month. I'm
And that's what I did too. I got some going just after earnings date, expecting that this is not going to actually impact their earnings this quarter. But I just would love for them to say, and they're the type of company that would say we've seen an uptick in interest in this line, and all that's really all I'm hoping for in earnings is them to mention that they've seen something positive, that they can maybe not even put a projection out, but just that this is impacting or has the potential of impacting in the future.
So just so you're aware, in the last earnings report, they did call out the Camino bag as something that was already picking up traction. Okay, this has nothing to do with the video. The video came after that, but it was interesting. Obviously, the Camino bag was already kind of doing a little bit better than expected going into the quarter, and
Well, that's
this,
interesting
yeah,
because
So
the stock chart basically went straight up since that last earnings. So
and
it's kind of like maybe there will be an impact if they were already seeing it last. I didn't read the earnings transcript because I'm on vacation, but
Dave, I
that's
think it's
interesting.
more about international growth, and I think it's more about tariff cooldowns, right? Because the tariff
Yeah.
situation was really scary. What the company announced in the last earnings call is that they were going to be able to pull 95% of the Yeti mug cup stuff out of China, I think by the end of this year. So they were going to have essentially almost no exposure to China starting in 2026, and that they said they still would be impacted for another quarter or two. There are still some headwinds, but there was light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that more than anything else is what investors were focused on. I do believe that this Camino bag is something a little extra, right? That I just know how institutional investors, they're not watching these TikTok videos yet. Now, there's a story that came out today on the Camino bag. And I always wonder, I told some people about it, a couple days ago. I put it in our Discord. I'm like, why are they all of a sudden talking about the Camino bag? I actually think there was a member of our community that I was so consumed with Nvidia that pinged me on this bag. But I just can't even find the note anymore. But I was like, once I pulled it myself, I was like, wait, someone told me about this. So I think one of the
Yeah.
Dumb Money community members, it might be in our Discord weeks ago. And that's why, like, I
Probably.
keep
I saw
telling
I saw
people,
a comment a while back where someone said that they've been on this for weeks.
yeah. So listen, we are not the source of alpha in dumb money. There are people in our community that are way more on top of stuff than I am. Okay, because I can only do so many things. Like you guys, we are so consumed with so many projects and private investments and businesses. Jordan is cooking on something insanely big with one of our community members right now. I won't talk about yet, but we're going to bring it to the community, I think, pretty soon. But there are community members that are finding things left and right, and I'm so proud of like the dumb money community. And I should spend more time listening and helping you guys. I just been consumed with Nvidia, so I'm back, and I'm gonna provide all the data for all the retail companies this week. I promise. In the research channel Discord, I'll pull the web stats. I'll pull the credit card transaction data. By the way, I have not even pulled credit card transaction. Dude, I pay so much
Yeah.
money for this
You,
data, and
you
I
have so
haven't
much
even
data
pulled
at
it
your
yet.
fingertips and you don't even use it. But Google Trends, like that for me, you sent a screenshot of a Google Trends and I bought some options. That was the level of research that I needed for a fun trade. This is not a life-changing trade. This is just a fun trade. And since yesterday, I am up. I hope for it to keep going up. But yeah, my options are on the move. The options that I'm in are up 38% today.
Hey, we'll take. So for me, I'm not in this for a few days. I'm highly likely to keep this trade on for weeks and potentially keep the trade on all the way through earnings. So we'll see what happens. I think getting back to Nvidia, guys, what is the lesson of this whole Nvidia story is that there is no company too big for social art. Like there is no company too big for one tiny retail investor to have an edge on all of institutional Wall Street. If you have the ability to cut through the noise and not be consumed with all the BS articles and all the CNBC stuff and all the investor chatter about Powell and Trump and all the BS. Honestly, if you could somehow, our brain cannot handle everything and still be great at finding alpha. You got to cut that stuff out of your life. And it could be a tiny part of your life, but like your investing life. I mean, you got to cut it out, guys.
I mean, it's impossible to cut it out completely, but if you can cut out enough, like if you spend any time on X, you're going to be inundated with the macro picture and the latest, Trump news. There's no way to fully avoid it, but you just have to be mentally prepared to like separate your investing thoughts. Like I'm not worrying about every little thing that could go wrong with Nvidia. I'm in Nvidia
Uh,
because
you
I
know,
know that the market has underestimated whatever it is that you're looking at.
I've said this before, but like when I'm doing my stretches or sometimes having a solo dinner, like couple times a week, 2, 3 times a week, I'll just see what Meet Kevin did a show on and listen to that because that usually covers all the noise. And no offense, it's just like it usually covers all the macro stuff, the Powell stuff, the Trump stuff. Like he does a really good job just kind of covering the stuff. You could agree or disagree with his opinion on it, but I like how he's just listening to all of it all the time. So I don't want to do that. So like I'll just listen to his
Listen
summary
to his
of all the
recap.
stuff.
Exactly. Now that I think he's on like, I think he's does a live show 24/7 now. So I pretty
I
sure.
hate that part though, because I don't want to listen 24. I want to listen
No,
to
but they
a
clip it. They clip
15
it.
minute.
They clip it same day. While he's still on the air, they're putting clips out. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Whew. Well, I mean, that's it, man. That's my whole thing is trying to like I still have all my deep tech portfolio on I feel like the big easy money the last few months has been kind of like squeezed out. You got to be a little more careful now, but there will be another one of these and another one. Like deep tech is not going away. It's
Yeah.
just getting started, guys.
What
So
is
like
your
if you
you're now just in Nvidia equity. What is your kind of allocation to Nvidia against other deep tech that basically makes up the bulk of your portfolio?
Yeah, I think Nvidia is about 15% of my total portfolio. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I mean it's 12.5% of my portfolio is Nvidia. Honestly, it's less than Amazon. Amazon is like 17.5%. Robinhood is 20%. Oh, you know what I did today, guys? This
No.
morning I sold like 20% of like almost everything that I had. And the reason why I did that is because I had been accumulating so much of these stocks the last few months, like building into this, that I was like,
Mhm.
dude, I'm really levered again. Like I'm highly levered. A lot of this stuff is played out. I didn't anticipate Robinhood going from 30 to 108 in a few months.
Mhm.
Like I thought it would take a few years. And so I kind of sold 20% of everything. And when the market has any type of like little pullback, it just gives you a little bit of a reality check. Emotionally, how did this morning impact you? So if you're watching, how did this morning impact you after like 7 weeks of making money pretty much every week? You become disillusioned with the way the world works and the market works. When
Mhm.
the market took that hit this morning, I want you to really think about that, because if that hit really disturbed you in any meaningful way, then maybe you're a little over levered. Okay. Like maybe that's a signal to make an adjustment, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month. Certainly there's volatility to come. It's inevitable, right? Nothing goes up in a straight line. So it's a nice time to like take a break, take a breather. We all had a great couple months. Make sure that your portfolio is right sized for you and your risk tolerance. I shaved 20% off, but Robinhood's still 20% of my portfolio. Like it's big. And then I have like a lot of a lot of stuff. Like I had the Palantir, the Tesla, the AMD, the Broadcom. You know what I crushed it in? Dude, I don't even know if I talked to you guys about this. Do you remember when there was buzz a little while ago about the defense companies and everyone was like super into defense tech? And I was like, why does Aero Environment, the drone company, not like going nuts? So I bought a decent chunk of that, and now it went nuts. It went nuts like the last month. So I shaved a little of that off, but that's Aero Environment. They're the drone, they're like the big drone company, like the drone. Microsoft. Oh, we have a big thesis on Microsoft. That was supposed to be last week's episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it was supposed to be this week's episode, and we got excited about Yeti. We want to talk about it. It has to be next week's episode, though, guys. It has to be. We have a little bit
Okay.
of time. This is nothing that's going to play out like in the next week or two or three or anything like that. But there is a thesis that we have collectively, the three of us, on Microsoft that is so big and interesting, and I cannot wait to talk about it. I'm not going to say if it's long or short, by the way. Would you agree? It's a pretty darn big thesis that I think is like really not getting discussed by anyone, which is actually insane. Okay. It's almost as insane as Nvidia. I do feel that there are some institutions making moves on this thesis. Okay. But retail is not talking about it at all. And it's a big one. I cannot wait for next week's show.
You've become like the ultimate hype machine.
You're hyping
Like
it up.
No, no.
you've learned what we call the major market teas. Like you
It is
now,
big.
like
It's
I'm on the
big.
edge of my seat. I know the story, but I want to see this next episode.
It's big. That's coming next week.
Like maybe I
So
should subscribe so I can find out.
Okay,
Can we talk about the story that has been just all over? It is the short squeeze of it's today's GameStop of that open door, open house, whatever it's called.
You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. I saw that early last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had no time to research open. I'm talking 1 minute. I had 1 or 2 minutes. You know how busy I've been this last week. I said, hell with it. I bought like $50,000 of call options on open.
No.
Wait, it's not. The story's not over yet. I did really well, but I sold them on Friday. On Friday. So I got pinged yesterday by one of my buddies. He's like, "What do you think about open?" I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, what's going on with open today? I looked at it. I was like, no, I don't even want to know how much money I would have made if I just maintained that position.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I don't even want
Don't
to
worry.
know.
It came back, but it came back down.
Super Micro, Taiwan, Micron, obviously Yeti, Lily, Shopify. I still have I shaved some of my Comcast off. You know, I had to own some Comcast for the Love Island deal. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Did it go anywhere?
You're out now?
Comcast.
What?
Did it go anywhere?
Well, here's the thing. I think I'm up. Oh, I think I'm up on. I think no, I don't know if I'm up or not. But here's the deal. It's not a needle mover for Comcast. Peacock is not a needle mover for Comcast. But this is the biggest thing to ever happen to Peacock. And I do not know the degree to which institutional investors really care about if Peacock had a big quarter, because Peacock is just like this light little thing. It's like, how much do they care about it? I don't freaking know. But I just had to own it because like I'm all in on Love Island. It's a show. I told you I've been watching it with my daughter. I'm still not done with the season. It's a show that made us so much money at our restaurants. We have never had bigger nights for anything ever at our restaurants on weeknights than we did for our Love Island watch parties. I'm talking shoulder to shoulder, Super Bowl style crowds, okay? Almost exclusively women, which is odd. Like, but it got rowdy too. Like we had security there, you know, like it got rowdy at points.
Fights breaking out.
Yeah, I'm still in Corsair, Apple, you know, all this stuff. By the way, can I tease one more thing? I'm not gonna say what you don't know about it yet. I told you about this company like 2 years ago. There's a company that my buddy Trishel, you remember Trishel, worked for us, Jordan, or like worked at Ticker Tags. Trishel is so deep with this company because Trishel is all about mining. You know, he's in the mining industry basically. Like he's from Australia and his family's in mining, and he was talking about rare earths before anybody cared about rare earths, right? So there's a company that's publicly traded that is not known to be a rare earth company. It's known for something else, but they actually have access to a wild amount of rare earths. It used to be like a little bit more of a sideshow to their primary business, but now in the rush for rare earths in America, this is becoming really interesting. So I had a call with him. He's like, Chris, I think this thing's going to 5 to 10x here. I was like, Trishel, I literally sold it. I sold it like a few months ago. I'd owned it for a couple of years. I sold it. I got back in this last week. I want to talk to you guys about it. I know the CEO of the company. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but Trishel's like, if you want him on Dumb Money, we can literally, he'd love to come on Dumb Money and just chat. But if we want to have the CEO on, we don't do that. But if you want, let's talk about it in an episode first.
Trying to figure out what company you're talking about. Who would you know the CEO of that would be potentially a rare earth? Your tease has gotten me.
Yeah,
I don't know what stock we're talking.
So off my radar. I haven't thought about this company in a while, but I won't announce it because I want it to be a designated show because it's kind of exciting. I think honestly, I think rare earths is a super exciting. Jordan, this has to be something that you're looking into. This is so you. Like, what is your thought on the whole rare earth thing? How big is this? I know that like rare earths aren't that rare. It's more about the processing of the
Yeah.
rare earths, but we just haven't been in that industry here in the US, except for a couple companies. And now that we're needing to like move away and have rare earth independency from China and Russia, how big is this the next decade and a half?
Yeah, I
Does
don't
this
know.
have
I need
legs?
to do more research on it, because it was my impression that even like MP, Applied Materials, like they had to do all their processing in China still, and so that one is an odd one.
But like I just, it's not LIC. That's all I'm going to say. I won't say anything more. It's not LIC. Okay, I just want people to
Right.
know that it's not LIC. But anyway, that's another show too coming up. So unless we think of something better, and I want Jordan, I want you to do like I want to get your perspective on the rare earth thing, because I feel like I think that is a mega tailwind that we have, government sovereign tailwind, that I think is really misunderstood. And I feel like it's one of those things that we'll look back kind of like, one of the other companies I have is what's the material in nukes? What do you need to make a nuclear energy, guys? Uranium. So uranium company's been on fire too. I just felt like, how do you not own your uranium right now? Like, it's just like, this is not a storyline that's going away, right? Like, it's just not going away. I don't even know what the company is. I don't think I mentioned. Of course, I have my huge pop mark position still doing pretty well. And I have my Bitcoin, which is doing well. And then I'm playing around with a couple levered Bitcoin mini things on Coinbase, mini futures with Sol and ETH. And you know what I texted Dave,
Do you know what I
Jordan?
did? Go ahead.
What?
Now, do you know what I did? Like the worst timing ever is I consolidated all of my crypto and was like, okay, I'm just gonna take all of this Ethereum and spread it out amongst a bunch of other basically shit coins. And the day I sold my Ethereum, it's now up 60% since I've sold.
Wait, the crap
If you look at
coins
the chart, it's basically going nowhere, and then it goes straight up. That was the day that I sold.
Wait, but did you see that Leon? We have a guy managing our meme coin.
A real shitcoin manager, yes.
I just assumed that was at zero. By the way, he just
no, we're
texted
up.
me.
Yeah,
We're up almost double in our meme coin. And I think, listen, I'm not a crypto. This is not my world. But a lot of people are saying this is the next thing. It's going to be we're going to do a meme coin run again, because it's been a little while. I'm glad that we have some money with, I don't even know what
we
the hell
have some exposure to the meme coin, and that could 500x, and that would be amazing. The ones that I bought personally were not the level of meme and shitcoin that he's managing for us. What I was buying was basically the bigger ones that are listed on Robinhood. I was like, I should probably have, if it's available on Robinhood, it probably has enough exposure. I should just like buy an even number of a bunch of these things, basically building my own little, coin 500 fund. But I funded that with my ETH, which had been basically going flat to nowhere to down a little bit to back up a little bit. But the day I sold was the day that it decided just to take off, and has been on a tear ever since.
I don't think, though, Leon manages it as aggressively as I would like him to. It's like diversified. Like, I want him going all in on whenever he has a high conviction thesis on like a single individual meme coin. Like,
Yeah.
I would
Like
love
when
it
Trump
if
coin came out, he bought just a little bit, and I was like,
Yeah.
isn't the reason for this fund to just go all in when something like that hits?
that's what I wanted to do. I think he needs to have like
He's
a
probably watching
second.
right now. I haven't seen him chime in.
Leon, I'm sure he's watching. Leon, I think you need to do a
Yeah.
second fund and maybe we can invest a tiny bit of money in that one, even less, because we didn't put a lot of money in the first one either. But like, and that one is just reserved for when something really big. Because if you're thinking about meme coins 20 hours a day, like he is, I want to know if something big happens that maybe he caught it and he just went in and I did 20x my money. Right? That's what I want. I don't ever want to have to be thinking about meme coins ever, but I want to know that if a big one pops, there was at least a chance that I was in on it through Leon's meme coin fund. How are we invested in a meme coin fund?
How would we not be
Oh.
invested in a meme coin fund?
It's the only way to do it, because who the hell wants to be looking at meme coin? I mean, it's just so ridiculous. The whole thing is so ridiculous. Jordan. Oh, so Jordan, this one I want to tell you. I texted Dave, and the floor price on our CryptoPunks hit $170,000 this last week. So
yeah,
we are back.
We're
Dave.
back.
Our NFTs
Yeah, I'm
are
so
back.
glad the degens have money again and are buying CryptoPunks, because I was worried about my I thought for sure this thing's going to zero. Not zero, because it is an original, it is the first and original NFT kind of, and that was my thesis on it all along. And I'm so happy that, well, and I think also maybe Ethereum's price going up brought up the floor price because people had their prices set and now they're actually just worth more.
Well, no, it was a combination of both things. So someone went in this last weekend and swept $8 million, I guess, swept the floor, $8 million purchase of CryptoPunks. Now, Dave, your CryptoPunk, I love it. I love him. He's like one of the better
It's a good
ones
one.
that I've ever seen.
It's a good one.
So like,
yeah,
it just is an art piece. It's awesome. I think there will be a day when we are doing this show and we are going to celebrate that the floor price of CryptoPunks has hit $1 million. Now, we won't look the way we look today. We're probably going to look a lot older, but hopefully we can keep
we're still doing this show by the time CryptoPunks hit $1 million.
How are your cats doing? Your crypto
He's
cats?
still milking them for all they're worth.
I
Still
have
milking
written
cats
them down
daily?
to 0. I only kept 2, and the 2 that I kept, I love. I don't care if they're worth 10 cents.
Do they
What were
still
those
do
called? Were
anything?
those
Like,
called
do
Cool
they?
Cats or something? What were those called?
What?
Are they a part of a game? Like, what's the deal?
I think that's all done with now. But so
No, I need to know what it is so that our clips editor will be able to find them and milk them into our into the clip.
Be over.
Jordan, I want to say that I probably spent between $13,000 and $25,000 for each of the 2 that I still have. They're probably worth low hundreds of dollars right now. But I had like 12 more that I sold at something not that far off from the top. So again, I couldn't sell them. I just couldn't do it. And so I have them. They're mine forever now. They have no value, no like financial value to anyone, including me. But it was a good, fun time of my life. Now the CryptoPunks are a whole nother thing. And like, I will continue to acquire CryptoPunks. Maybe once every couple years, I'll pick one up. I'm kind of doing a what do you call it? What do you call it when you're just constantly buying something? What's that? Come on, we should know this, dude.
What is it called? Dollar cost averaging?
Dollar cost averaging. Or
into CryptoPunks?
I'm dollar cost averaging into CryptoPunks.
How many do you own?
I think I own 2.15 because I have like a DAO with my some like my original NFT friends. That we bought one together for the DAO. So like 2.1 or 2.15 CryptoPunks. I own 2, just me. Yeah. So
I just own one, and then I don't know. I might still be in a DAO that owns one, and or I might not. You would know better than I do, Chris.
I don't own my Forever Punk yet. That's the
And then,
problem. I don't.
And then
own
I think I bought one
much.
through that platform that sells shares of art.
Um, yeah, what you might own
Rally
Figma.
Road.
Yeah, I think I do that. I own that too. Let's talk about Figma. Like, what do you guys think about the Figma IPO? Uh, it's hyped.
It's
It's
hyped.
really,
It's
really
hyped, but
hyped.
I like it. I think this is one of those companies that already has buy-in with so many people. It's kind of like a foundational software platform for people who use Figma like products, right? It's the Photoshop of Figma. I don't even know what is the name of that product category, Jordan?
Wait, what's that?
What is Figma? What is the generic term for what Figma does?
Interface design tool.
Yeah,
Interface design. Okay.
yeah. I love Figma. I will buy it after the lockup.
Really?
Oh,
If I
you
could
think
get some shares
I just
on
don't like.
IPO day,
I
I'd
just
buy
don't know
them.
what's going to happen. I I've seen
so?
these things like crash into the lockup period before, so you know,
Yeah, but if there's enough people think, you know what
I
happens,
get it's
Jordan?
probably a bad plan, but that's my plan right now.
So Jordan, a lot of the lockup, especially in this regulatory loosened environment that we're in,
Yeah,
there people are not supposed to do this, but I know it's happening in a really big way. They're essentially using derivatives through to get out of those shares well before the lockup. So I think the whole thing that used to happen in the past where all the insiders would just sell on the lockup, I don't think we're seeing that as much because what's actually happening is they're doing this financial engineering behind the scenes to kind of exit that stuff well before the lockup. So the sell pressure is actually happening very shortly after the IPO. So I'm not sure if that strategy is a valid one anymore if you believe in the company. Like, I haven't done the work on Figma.
yeah, I think
uh,
you're probably right about that. I think at least the big guys in the sophisticated shareholders can do things like that, but there's still going to be a lot of people that aren't that
Yeah.
sophisticated that'll just sell.
And you'll remember Adobe was about to buy Figma, and I believe it was what 20 billion, and it didn't go through because of regulatory holdups. And
yeah,
so I've requested shares. Robinhood has IPO shares, and I've requested some, but I doubt I'll get any substantial allocation just because of the way that works.
I didn't realize. I forgot to. Can I still do that on Robinhood?
Yeah,
Can I request?
it was just priced yesterday, so I don't even know how it works. I think it's a random lottery. You tell them how many shares you want, at what price you'd be willing to pay, and then I think it's a random lottery of people's whose request matches the market conditions.
What price should I be willing to pay? I don't.
I just did their default of within 20% of its whatever it's priced at on the day.
I think that it's a lot of hype on this one, guys.
I do
Like, yeah,
too.
I think
It's one of those that I might actually just buy shares on opening day. I just opening day prices scare me.
so.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to predict how exactly this new economy is going to play out in terms of companies that will sustain themselves through the rebirth of AI every 12 months because the
Yeah.
foundation models, as they radically change and evolve every year, like, to what degree are they displacing a lot of the application layer AI companies, and to what degree are they not able to displace that type of a company? If we're able to determine and have conviction that a company is not going to be displaced by the foundation model itself, my general rule of thumb is that the market still continues to underestimate the largeness of how big this intelligence industry is going to be in 10 years, 10, 15 years. No matter how
Mhm.
big people talk about it, I still think they can't comprehend it. So I like the concept of just owning a piece of every single company that I think will survive Okay. Every company that I think has durability in this space, I don't want to overthink the valuation of it because it's like, it's difficult to do. It's really difficult. I'm not going to pretend that I could even do that. I just want to have exposure to every company I think will survive. So that's the question I'm asking myself. Will Figma be a company that will be able to survive the next 3-ish years of foundation model improvements? Or will super intelligence, whenever it gets here, right? Will that make it so that you actually don't need an application layer company? Or will there be other application layer companies that will come in with super intelligence that will be owned by the foundation models themselves? Will they be able to make feature sets on the fly that will be just as good but cheaper than these standalone companies? That's the billion trillion dollar question that every investor needs to ask themselves before you make a long-term decision to dig into one of these companies.
That's actually a really good question. And I think one of the ways you can go about this is you just ask Gemini to build a web page for you. I'm dead serious.
But Jordan, that's today.
Yeah, I don't think we're that far away.
I think
No,
And I
I'm
think
saying
that it
it's
will-
here. Like it's yesterday. Like this is stuff that it can just do. And so why would you use some mock-up tool when you can just have it do it for you?
yeah.
because
I don't know.
all it would know how to do ever is it has seen other people do. It hasn't yet evolved to the point of creating a new
Okay.
type of interface.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you've used it to do that then.
No, I haven't. I'm sure it's way
Yeah.
better than anything. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a really long tail of people that
We could just leave this quote on the screen at all times. Jordan is right. Anytime Jordan has something to say, you know that that's the truth.
I am wrong all the time.
by the way, Jordan gets a lot of love and hate from you guys, depending on what mindset you're in. I love all of it. I love it when he gets hate, and I love it when he gets love. When he gets love,
You
I
love
always
it when I
really-
get hate.
when I when I see it, I always share with him the love because I rip on him for the hate.
Dude, I've got a big hater in here. It's funny. I forgot his name. Oh well.
Dude, I've had my share of them. You know, it's so hard to assess. Like Jordan, I mean, there's so many people that, yeah, you could be technically right, but they are still not going to change for so long because they become they're either afraid or they're accustomed to doing something a certain way, right? These companies don't necessarily need to survive for 20 years, but they do need to be able to survive for a few years and
Yeah.
at least have visibility into not being completely destroyed. Because as soon as there's visibility into, oh my gosh, that company is now guaranteed to disappear within 1 to 6 years or 7 years.
That's
Then-
where it's tough, right? Because and you just made that point of what's the incumbent? What are people used to using? Does that just exist in corporations for the next decade? But I think startups will, kind of veer away from things like that because they'll see, oh, Figma costs this much. Like, I'll just ask my LLM to do it for me and see what it can do.
I talked to a guy, one of my friends who works in one of the, I think, the best seed stage technology VCs in the country. And I talked to him about this yesterday because I was referring someone over to him because I just don't have the time or resources to vet an early stage company, and I don't do that anymore. But even internally at that VC, they have pretty contentious debates about the degree to which AI is going to crush this entire portfolio of companies that they are either in or potentially getting deeper in, or to the degree to which those companies have certain attributes to protect them, whether it's exclusivity in data or unique distribution. And I don't think anyone right now has the definitive answer to these questions. But that's where the opportunity lies, right? Like, it's because there are way more questions than answers. And I think the smartest people right now are willing to admit that. And I think the people that maybe aren't so smart have so much conviction that it will either end this way or this way. And you better be really careful if you're like that. Maybe you're a prodigy and you just know. Uh, I'm certainly not. I think about this like it feels like 24/7. And I still, Jordan, do not have the definitive answer of how this is going to play out,
Yep.
which is kind of exciting, right? Like, isn't that kind of cool? Like, that no one has the answer. At some point, the answer becomes more clear. And the degree to which you're willing to really focus a lot of your time and energy just on this sector of deep tech, I think is so critically important right now. Because if you're willing to like remove a lot of the other noise and focus on this sector, as we get new information, if you're following the right people, following the right news, as we start to get closer to having an answer, you can put some pretty big moves on, like long and short, right? I just don't know when that's going to be. Is it in a few
Yeah.
months or a few years? But like, as an investor, how do you sit on the sideline and not at least try to get in the game of like being in tune with when that's going to happen and we're going to get closer to having that answer? Because that answer is going to essentially determine how big the biggest companies are going to be and how many of them there are going to be and which ones are going to survive and be trillion-plus-dollar companies and which ones are likely to essentially go out of business, which could
Yeah.
be the biggest trade here. That could be the biggest trade. Like, as we get closer to determining which sectors, which software companies are cooked, if you're able to nail that trade, that could be a 100xer.
I think it's very clear that we are in such a unique time in history right now. When you see Mark Zuckerberg making billion-dollar offers to AI engineers, $1 billion in exchange for 4-year contract, and then that person turns them down, you know that if you're offering $1 billion, you're expecting to make more than $1 billion off of that person's work. Everything we know is going to change, or money is going to change, or we're just, I can't even wrap my head around where things will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, but I definitely have to be a part of it.
Jordan, I've worked with so many engineers over my life career, like so many. Anyone that has worked with you, and I've co-founded companies with you, as has Dave, and we've managed companies. You are the most pragmatic engineer I have ever witnessed. I don't know if that would be if you were not, I mean, it's not younger, if you weren't so distracted by us pulling you out of that world and now you're a full-time investor, and like, if you were still in the world of like cooking for a big company as an engineer, I don't know if you might be one of those guys that's getting a multi-$100 million offer. But did you ever think there would be a day that people like you would be getting a $1 billion offer from a company? Is that ever, do you think any?
Well, they're
that
not like
ever-
me. They're way smarter.
Well, that's
You're
what
talking
I
like
don't-
you're talking like the cream of the crop, best AI researchers on the planet.
I think
But
if you were
Jordan, from what I
actively in the
understand-
middle of it at the time when AI was just starting, you would have been one of those people.
But Jordan, from what I understand, okay, from what I understand, this is what's been told to me. That, and I'm not saying that this is the $1 billion guy or these guys we've heard about the last week or two. The most important
Wait, first, I
attribute.
think we found his hater.
Yeah,
Engineer
that's it.
LMAO.
Yeah.
He's a bag of bricks.
Dude, let me just tell you something. You guys don't understand this. I have seen Jordan. Dave and I, and our other, our Lynn, our other buddy, I don't know if he's watching or not, who actually was CEO of the company we're referring to. We've seen him do more from Friday evening to Sunday evening than a team of 20 engineers could do in a 3-month sprint. If you give him a case of wine and 72 hours and a
Box.
weekend,
He would have a team of
Box
20
full.
engineers. He would send them home for the weekend with his box of wine and knock out the next 3 months of code.
Now listen, that same code, occasionally when we're having a drinking lunch the next Friday, will completely take the company down for an hour, and he'll fix it. He'll fix it, okay? But like, but he gets shit
Allegedly.
done. Jordan can
Allegedly.
get shit done. He was like hey, if it's perfect code, it's terrible code, because we're not sitting around for perfect code. But I think what I've been told, Jordan, is that what they're really looking for are people that can bridge that world with reality, meaning make great pragmatic decisions on which path to go down, because those are the decisions that are having to be made right now at Meta and OpenAI and XAI, because like you basically have teams and teams of AI scientists, right? Teams of these guys, and each of these scientists are potentially brilliant, and they are all coming up with theories based on the things that they're cooking. But you can only go down so many roads because you only have so many resources of compute to go down with these models. So what is valuable is someone that's smart enough to say, amongst the 30 decisions we need to make this quarter, we could only choose 2 of them to make that decision. And that's the $1 billion guy, from what I understand. And that's why that decision could potentially lose the company tens.
Well, yeah, no. If you think about how much these companies are spending, what's $100 million salary for a baller AI guy? I don't know. It's wild. But Meta's making the moves, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, and they're building a data center the size of Manhattan. I mean, we're just living in a total alternate universe.
It is wild.
So I'll just say this one last thing on Jordan. It's very rare that Jordan ever reaches out to us, pinging us with stuff, because it's always us bothering him. But Jordan's been reaching out quite a bit lately, and he has something big. It's cooking in the AI field. And I'm excited. We're thinking about bringing it to market, maybe. So we're not going to say what it is today, but stay tuned, because he's back at it, which is fun. I love it. I love to see Jordan back out doing what he does. And so we'll bring that to Dumb Money soon.
Yeah.
Whew. All right, guys. We got to go, because Jordan, I got to take a
This
meeting.
was an hour and 20-minute show. So what we need to do is say goodbye. We'll do it again. You can tell we haven't done a show in a while because we just can't stop talking.
Yeah,
Chris. He has so much pent up energy. But we're gonna wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will do a show. It's only Tuesday. We could even do one this week, but definitely next. If we don't do another one this week, we'll do one next week. Thanks for watching. We're Dumb Money. We'll see you next time. And my buttons aren't working.